kidnapped, walking the scene, reviewing old flicks from the 90s. So keen, the VHS Club, they're the talk of the town. Breaking it down, spreading nostalgia all around. Moving and grooving to the synth-pop sound. Their insight so fresh, painting pictures profound. From Pulp Fiction to Clueless, they know it all. The genuine love for movies stands tall. Unfolding memories on that VHS screen, talking about classics like you've never seen. Katie with her charm, Matt with that wit. Together they make the VHS Club legit.
Welcome to Cinema Psychos and VHS Club crossover episode. Brian, thanks for hanging out with me tonight.
It's the crossover that was meant to happen.
It was meant to happen. Hopefully I've pushed all the buttons correctly. You and I were having way too much fun behind the scenes and we're like, shoot, we've got to go. We've got
good time. It's always a good time when we get to hang out, Katie. Like, good to hang out with each other. When we're doing podcast events, it's always a good time. I'm glad we're to talk about this movie.
I know. More crossover episodes needed. We had to bring back Nat and John so we can have like another awesome episode. If you are new to us or new to Brian, we have done a couple of episodes before. So I dropped all of that. My friend Matt calls it the blah, blah, blah below. But you can check
blah,
it in
blah, blah.
Yeah, he has a fun, he doesn't say exactly that, but he's got a fun, like weird, like the shabababa or something like that. The show notes or the description will have all of the fun links to past episodes and to more about Cinema Psychos, or if you're coming at us from that channel, hopefully more about the VHS Club. But yeah, crossovers are good.
Gotta have more crossovers.
Crossovers are good. But I'm excited for this one because I said right off the bat, I don't know why I have a podcast about movies because I feel like I am the worst movies person. I own this movie. Like I literally, like I have the box that's over this way. I have it like viscerally embedded in my mind. I was like, Explorers, yes. I like saw the box. I own it on DVD. I was like, absolutely. And then I sat down tonight. I left it right to the last minute. I sat down tonight to watch it. And I was like, maybe a good 20 minutes in before I was like, I've never seen this movie. Or if I have, it's been wiped from my mind. I was confusing it with Flight of the Navigator, also an alien sci-fi kids family movie. So I
the 80s
I got to enjoy it.
A lot of weird, family friendly, but also like kids doing weird shit.
Yeah.
But they were like, your parents aren't gonna know. Like this is a runoff from the Goonies, from E.T., from Flight of the Navigator. A lot of these ones that honestly, like Stranger Things, pulled from this movie. 100%.
Yeah, so if you like Stranger Things, this is the movie for you.
Yes.
And so I'm going to force Brian to do what he is best at, which is give me the like IMDb either straight read if you want to quickly look it up, or just
give me 1 minute,
or what you think this movie was about. You can we'll. I don't have Jeopardy music to play.
I got it right now.
I'm probably get in trouble if I played it. All right. Read me the IMDb.
Yeah, okay. So this is a straight read because I totally forgot that's what you do. Yeah, your show. My show is so free flow. So like I'm not used to the sections.
No,
but
no,
it's cool.
I've been forcing my guests to give me their vibes. I had Mary Lou when she was on. I had her like give it to me in like a movie phone voice, which she just nailed. So
I can do the movie theater voice.
Go for it. Movie theater voice. IMDb read.
Okay. A boy obsessed with 50s sci-fi movies about aliens has a reoccurring dream about a blueprint of some kind, which he draws for his inventor friend. With the help of a third kid, they follow it and build themselves a spaceship. Now what?
Well done.
Thank you.
Well
I don't
done.
ever get to pull out that voice. So, like, if I can, I will. But this is the worst, by the way, IMDb description. First of all, inventor friend, that's really discounting River Phoenix right there. This was his first flick. And then just random third kid? Like, they don't even give him a name?
Although I will say, so Darren, the name of the
Darren.
random third kid,
He has a name.
he's both like wonderfully important to the movie and also completely irrelevant to the movie at the same time.
He offers bad attitude.
Okay,
That's
that-
what
yeah.
he offers.
Yeah,
okay?
and the
That's what he
junkyard,
does.
because every 80s kid needs
Exactly.
a junkyard with which to build stuff. I will. Okay, so I'll say a couple things right off the bat. I fully loved this movie. I was completely
it's
engrossed from start to finish. It's wonderfully strange. So I'll put that out there. It's very strange. So if you're not into strange, maybe this is not the one for you. But I just like, and I felt this way about rewatching The Goonies as well. I was like, oh, have we lost this? Like the second that I turned these movies on, I was like, I just want my kids to have walkie-talkies. I want them to be up at all hours of the night, like exploring junkyards and building spaceships. That's not a thing anymore.
No.
It was barely a thing when I was a kid.
I mean, this movie was a staple for me. Like, literally, I watched this one was one of those ones that was always on repeat, on like HBO and like TBS and all of those, like, because it was cheap, they could replay it a bunch of times. So, but I remember loving this film. My brothers and I both love this film. And like, this was one of those ones where like afterwards we went and found a cardboard box and just were like, we're going to
This is
pretend
our
that we're
spaceship,
making a
damn it.
spaceship. Okay. Or we took the couch cushions and we turned it into a spaceship. Like this has so much nostalgia vibes with me. And that's why like I recommended it. And also it is 40 years old. This movie came out in 1985. It's 2025. So it's as old as me.
It holds up. It really
It does.
Like, I mean, even though it is certainly campy, the special effects in it are not awful. Like
That's
I don't know.
industrial light and magic for you, though.
Yeah.
This was a Joe Dante film. So if you know Joe Dante, he's the guy behind Gremlins, and Inner Space, and obviously, like, this is, if you know Joe Dante, the man makes really weird stuff.
Really great,
Like
weird
that's
stuff.
great weird stuff. Someone had to think up Gremlins, and he thought up this one. And
here.
yeah, and honestly, like, the only reason that this movie did not do well, and this is funny, it's because of Back to the Future.
Oh, interesting.
So Back to the Future came out the same weekend as Explorers did.
Okay.
And Back to the Future blew up, and everyone and their mother went to go see Back to the Future, and they completely forgot about Explorers. So it kind of died that death because of Back to the Future.
Which is kind of interesting because Back to the Future is one of those movies that, like, although I absolutely love it, also a very strange movie if you sit down and like think about like it's one of those movies where like if you try to explain the plot to someone, you're like, wow, this like how did the writer's room pull this off? But yet it works.
You know what? It's funny you mention that. Okay, have you ever watched the show? It's an older show on Netflix called Glow, Glorious Ladies of Wrestling. It stars Mark Maron.
I can see the like I've never seen it, but I know what you're talking about and can kind of see the artwork for it. In my mind, I guess I'm good at artwork.
It's a very good show. It's a very funny show, but there is a plot point in, I think, the first season of that show in which Mark Maron's character literally was the one who wrote Back to the Future. And like people are reading it and like, what's this whole deal with the son like making out with the mom? Like what's the deal with that? And it's a whole joke and line, but you're right. It's a very weird movie that on paper should not work.
Yeah.
And should be like relegated to B movie garbage, but it works.
It works,
And
yeah.
and there's 2 other ones. There was a ride and everything, and it's a cultural icon. But it shouldn't work, but it does.
Yeah. Like I could actually probably argue that this movie, Explorers, makes more sense.
Yes.
Which is weird to say, but it makes more sense and has more of the like formulaic plot points in it than Back to the Future. So yeah, it's kind of disappointing that it got taken. I mean, Back to the Future deserves its credit, but it is sad that the opening weekend, at least back then, maybe it's a bit less so powerful now, but the opening weekend really, really mattered for a lot of these movies and really suffered as a result. Paul is saying that it was the first film that the American Motion Picture Visual Effects Company, Industrial Light and Magic, as you were saying, Brian, co-produced with major studio. That's why the special effects are so good. And we have another fact coming in. Joe Dante directed The Twilight Zone, the movie segment. It's a good life. I love it. Yeah.
Twilight Zone movie brings up a lot of mixed thoughts for me. Because like on one end, yes, you are correct. He did that segment. But then there's that whole wrongful death stuff.
I have not.
That's a whole episode right there. Have you done the Twilight Zone movie
We have
yet?
not done the Twilight Zone movie. Sounds like we should vote 1 for it. So +1. Maybe we'll have
There's
to bring
so
Brian
much.
back on.
There's so much with that movie. Like literally, John Landis is responsible for some death, unfortunately. And I love John Landis as a filmmaker, but yeah, he was totally negligent.
Oh yeah, not easy to make movies. Not easy to make movies at all.
There's no price on safety. That's
There's
all.
no price on safety. There's definitely no price on safety. Yeah. Yeah, that's not good. That's not good.
No.
Oh, well, I think.
But Explorers, yeah.
Yeah, Explorers. Well, I think you covered my first couple questions, which were
Sure.
related to why this one. I think there is something super magical about about TV playing a movie over and over and over again. I think this is probably the 10th or 20th movie we reviewed where that is the reason why. Christmas Story is one of those ones where it's, we may not necessarily even have a connection story to its release or to even the first time we saw it, but the fact that it just plays over and over again, that was my feeling for Better Off Dead as well. It was just one that it was on literally nonstop the year that I met and started dating my husband, and so now it's both of us just have it memorized in our minds.
I think the reason is because of kind of what you just pointed out there, those movies, and especially for cinephiles like us, we ascribe emotions and we ascribe memories to movies. There are even bad movies, even ones that were man, that was a real stinker. There's still a memory ascribed to it. And you're right, this movie, along with a bunch of other ones that I, kind of formed my childhood, they were kind of the movies that, I ascribed to, hanging out with my brothers and hanging out with friends. And it's one that you would watch on a Sunday afternoon. Explorers was absolutely a Sunday afternoon movie. It would play on and then you'd be like, oh, well, it's maybe halfway through the movie, but we're still going to watch. We're still going to watch the rest of it because what else are you going to do on a Sunday afternoon? But yeah, I think it's more the emotions and the memories that we ascribe to the movies rather than the movie itself. Although the movie does play into it a lot, right?
Yeah, and the lines. So I was watching Monty Python and the Search for the Holy Grail a couple days ago with my kids for the first time, and I hadn't seen it in a long time. But I definitely have watched that movie endlessly. That was one that played on loop in my world. And I the second that it turned on, I had so much of it memorized. But the lines that came up, I was like, oh my goodness, these are so much part of my actual vocabulary. Things that I would jokingly be run away. Things you're oh, that's from this. Sometimes you don't even realize how much a part of your psyche some of these movies have become. So yeah, I love that this is one of yours. I love that I got to experience it really fresh, having thought that I saw it. And
I am surprised that you owned it and never saw it.
I worked at Blockbuster for years and years and years, and so I had this, and I didn't have cable for a very long time while I was in college and and just trying to get by financially. So I bought a ton of movies, or would rent them, and then when they went on cheap would grab a copy of them on DVD. So I have a couple of VHS, but I have a bajillion DVD because I was just constantly swiping. And then when Walmart had the bins, anything that looked interesting, I was like, oh, why not? And this 100%. one, I mean, Ethan Hawke and River Phoenix. I was like, you can't not. But I must have somehow convinced myself that I had seen it. So.
I mean, I did that with DVDs a lot. Like when DVDs were really in their heyday, and you would like, you just be like, oh well, I'm just gonna get it. And,
why not?
I think I
$8.
still, I think I
Might
still
as
have
well.
a couple over. I think I still have a couple over on my DVD rack over there. They're still in the plastic wrapping because I never open them up. And it's like, listen, I'm gonna. And my wife has asked me, she's like, "Are you gonna get rid of this?" I'm like, never.
Never.
No, I don't care. I will pry my physical media from my cold dead hands.
Oh, I love it. Well, okay, so IMDb did a bad job in saying what this movie is about. So what do we think this movie is actually about?
Aliens
Aliens
and hanging out with your buddies and making a spaceship to go see your alien friends.
Yeah.
I mean that's really what it is though. Like that's in a nutshell what the movie is.
Yeah. There is also this wonderful, not to shoot ahead to the end for spoilers, but,
That's cool.
block your ears. I'm going to shoot ahead to the end for spoilers. I do kind of love the entire idea, which is a trope in itself, but of the alien. It ends up being alien kids that pull these human kids over, and it. And Brian's like, "Whoa, you're giving it away." I said I was going to give it away.
No, it's hilarious. I love it.
And I love that. And I love that they've learned everything about people through television and movies. And I love that they are afraid of humans, because rightly so. But it's done in this like because it's through the eyes of children, and it's like it's a family movie. There's sort of like this wonderful like innocence to it, and like the Ethan Hawke's character who's like, oh no, like we're not like really bad, like that's just what's on TV kind of thing. But it is thought provoking in sort of its very simplistic, like, are humans bad? Is this what other aliens would think of us? And I did love the whole they're going there to like learn the secrets of the universe, but like, do these aliens know the secrets of the universe? Not really. Like they're
alien said I was going to show you the secrets of the universe.
Yeah.
Like, kind of like, I have this cool action figure and I was going to show it to you. Like, that's what they're talking about. The secrets of the universe is just an action figure, which I would totally buy.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. But yeah, I just thoroughly loved the aliens, and I absolutely loved the alien dad at the end, where like you clearly, the second he walked in, you were like, oh, that's the dad.
That's the character. That's the character of Darren, because Darren has the dad who's an asshole.
Yeah.
So he recognizes asshole behavior in the giant space alien dad. Like, that's the whole reason. And like, that's the thing, is like the IMDb description doesn't give him credit, but that's the reason why he's there, is to kind of show like, oh yeah, sometimes dads can act like assholes, like his own dad. And look at the space alien dad.
Yeah.
Which I love the fact that like the language they picked for the aliens, like especially the dad, like even though it's complete gibberish, you can understand what he's saying.
It might as well have been Pig Latin. That would have been even more fun.
Yeah. Like when he's talking about when the female alien's talking about Wolfgang, he's like, Wolfgang, what about Wolfgang? Oh, you know, Wolfgang. And I still crack up with it every time. But I do got to ask you something. And this is something that upon rewatch this, I'm just like, this doesn't quite make sense. Okay, so the aliens are children. Okay. But they act and talk like grown-ups to humans.
Mm-hmm.
I found it a little disturbing that female alien was into a child.
Yeah, I mean, I found that disturbing, like, regardless.
Weird.
Like, it was just like, oh, like, we really need to, like, sexualize this.
I'm like, we're really going to take River Phoenix when he's a child.
Yeah.
And we're going to sexualize him, and he's totally into the alien. I'm just like, it's 80s.
It's 80s. I mean, I definitely thought that was problematic. The other part, like, looking back, which is less, I don't think problematic is the right word for this next part, but I don't know, something in there. The idea that like every one of these movies is like a group of like a boy gang, a boy group. So there's already like no girl in the gang, which fine, whatever. It's the 80s and I still adore it. But there's like always the girl who's like the older girl that they're just like straight up like staring in her window, watching her change.
Oh,
like looking
I'm glad you brought this up.
I just like, I get it. I get that, like, I have a 13-year-old son, so like I understand, but also like, really, like, do we need to have this? Like
you just found a way to make a levitating ball, and what is the first thing that you decide to do?
Yeah.
Is go peeping Tom into some girls that you're obsessed with room.
Yeah. And then we make it okay at the end of the movie by her just being like part of it then, and like totally cool with being like the whole movie. He's like, she's going to be my girlfriend. He's legitimately carrying around like her photo in his back pocket, which
today we would call that stalking.
For a brief moment, I was like, oh, he's got a picture of his mom. I'm like, oh no, that's a girlfriend.
It's not even his girlfriend. It's not even his girlfriend. It's a girl that he is obsessed with.
Yeah. That
he is stalking.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, like I get it. Because I know what's going to happen, okay? You're going to get someone who's going to comment on this episode, and they're comment on my episode, and be like, well, Brian, he's 13 years old. Okay, I get that. But it's still a little weird.
It's less creepy than the alien, like, directly flirting with...
Oh yeah, no, it's less creepy than interspecies erotica happening up in the spaceship.
Yeah.
Okay, it's less creepy than that. But I still think that it's a little icky and a little weird.
Yeah.
That like this is a plot point that grown men came up with.
Yeah.
That this kid should do is basically stalk this girl.
I guess the flip side, in moderate defense, I was I was watching it, and the second that I don't even know what her name is, but whatever, the girl, the eventual girlfriend, the second that she enters the scene, I was like, oh, we're gonna have like every other movie
Lori,
where she's like,
by the way.
oh, Lori, thank you. I was like, well, eventually, like, we're gonna have some kind of scene where they're like all creeping on her and she's like taking off her bra, which they didn't at least do that. They like it was
That's
a little
true.
like their comment was like, I forget, they pointed out like what was like in her room or something like that. It was, and she, she saw them, and then she calls them directly out, which is wonderful. Like the spaceship falls and he's like in the trees, like shuffling around, and she's like, Ben, is that you?
She's like,
and he's just
Ben,
like,
is
yeah,
that
it's
you?
me.
Yep. I saw a cat in your tree.
Yeah.
Bullshit.
Yeah.
Worst line ever.
But I love that she's just like, eye roll, like, please stop. Hey, Ben, like, why are you in my tree again?
Hey, Ben, why are you creeping on me again for the 9th time? Because we don't know how many times that Ben has creeped on Lori. We don't.
No.
This is just the one time he was able to not have to climb a tree.
Yeah.
He was able to levitate with a ball.
We need to talk. So Ben is great. And
Played by young Ethan Hawke.
Yeah, played by young Ethan Hawke. He's fantastic. But River Phoenix as Wolfgang, and Wolfgang's whole family, everything
God,
about
so
them is wonderful. Like, they're like the most weirdly bizarre like science family, and they're so like welcoming and supportive.
The weirdest German family you will ever see.
Yeah. Weirdest German family, and they're like totally oblivious to like everything that's happening, but like have given their kid the whole basement as as an experiment lab, and are just like fine with, like, he's clearly like falling asleep in school, he's up all night building a spaceship with his friends, and they're like, oh, you might be staying up too late working in your lab. Like, they're just like, fine.
I just
parents.
a couple of those 80s parents are well known character actors. So one, James Cromwell plays Wolfgang's dad, and you've probably seen him in a bunch of stuff. Like, he was in Revenge of the Nerds and a ton of other films. And I didn't realize this until watching it again, but Wolfgang's mom is played the her name is Dana Ivey, and I'm only knowing this because I have IMDb up right here. But she was in Home Alone 2.
That's where I couldn't place her.
Yeah.
I was like, where is she
was
from?
at the Palace Hotel. She was one of the like the workers there.
Yeah.
That met Kevin first.
Okay. That's
like, holy shit. She's in other movies.
That makes sense.
But the weirdest German family ever.
But I really liked them. Like, they just are like, oh, Wolfgang, your friends are here. They have like a fun intercom system. I loved all the I don't know, the amount of investment. Like at no point when I was a kid were my parents like, oh, you can have this entire space and, here's this powerful
No.
computer or I was never allowed any of that. Like I was closer to Darren. It was like, here's this junkyard.
Let me ask you this. What do you think Mr. Mueller's job was to afford him that much technology in the 80s?
I mean, they were all wearing lab coats, so I assumed that he was like some kind of like famous scientist, which I don't even know what a scientist would make. But
He probably worked for the government. His Cold War era. So he probably was like developing nuclear bombs or something like that. Something really crazy.
Yeah.
Where it's like, you know how people think that Kevin McAllister's dad like was a secret agent or a mafia boss or something to be able to afford that house? I always wonder, I'm like, when you watch these movies where it's like clearly this family is doing some important work where they're all like crazy scientists.
Yeah.
What could they possibly be doing? The only thing I'm thinking of is just you work for the government.
Yeah. He gets in no trouble as well, which blows my mind.
He
like,
blows up his basement and they're just like, good job, son.
Yeah. They don't say anything. There's like a number of explosions all the way through this movie and no one says anything. Yeah. Oh, and the one thing I really like, I did find completely awesome at first, and then I was like, but wait, because in the beginning where they're figuring out, so they find this orb is like the kind of the beginning of the storyline.
Well, they get the plans.
Yeah,
they get the
plans
dreams
by Dream. They get dream plans.
Wolfgang builds
and then
the plans.
Wolfgang builds it, and then it is big enough that they need to build this like tilt-a-whirl contraption from within it. But then once they've built this elaborate tilt-a-whirl spaceship that they can put inside this orb to go to space, they decide, because Wolfgang is genius level smart and very, he's filled his entire like portable non-laptop laptop into this spaceship, and then they're like, well, we need oxygen because we won't be able to breathe for long. And I was like, wow, normally movies just like don't pay attention to that at all. And so then they have like their oxygen masks on with their tanks and whatever, and halfway through I was like, where did these kids get these oxygen tanks from?
Where do they get the oxygen? Where do they get like there's so many like details they clearly did think about. Like a writer clearly thought like, okay, you're in this airtight bubble.
Yeah.
You're going to need some oxygen.
Yeah.
Okay, that now becomes a plot point. But it's like they did like 2/3 of the world building and then just stopped and said, no one in their right mind in the audience is going to care.
I care.
And ask the question. I know, I care too, because I'd be like, yeah, how did they get oxygen? I'm pretty sure that wasn't just sitting in the junkyard.
No. Yeah.
Right?
Everything else I was like, okay, I'll believe that these kids like somehow gave the dog gum and broke into the junkyard.
Of course.
Stole all this stuff. Sure. That makes sense to
They
me.
had a whole montage, Katie, of them doing and building all that. So like they basically gave all of us the plans and how to build a tilt-a-whirl spaceship.
It's true. Do you think kids today, this is old person talk, but kids today, do you think that like we've lost some of the creativity and like invention? My husband was arguing no, that he thinks that like there still is a lot of that, but I feel like there was just this epic series of movies, like this being one of them, Goonies being one of them, where like kids were A, left completely to their own devices, and B, like we're building and inventing these like elaborate, I mean, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids has that with mostly the dad, but there's like all these inventions. Like there was some idea of like mechanical invention that I wonder if it is as big a deal today with all of the digital side of things.
I think it depends. So like I have 4 kids. Okay. So I have one 17-year-old. I have 2 twins who are 13, and I have one youngest daughter who is going to be turning 7. And my youngest daughter, who's going to be turning 7, totally has like the iPad and watches YouTube videos and like tries to act older than she actually is, which is pretty much just what every 7-year-old does, right? But at the same time, she still is carving time to do like pretend and play. So while it's not necessarily doing what I did or what you did, where we found a cardboard box and like that became a fort or a spaceship or whatever, or in my case, the Batmobile, because it obviously had to become the Batmobile.
Yeah.
But I think the play is still there. It's just a little bit different, right? Like she pretends that she's a teacher because she wants to be a teacher. So she has all of her dolls lined up and does that pretend play with them. So I look at it's kind of the same thing, just a little bit different.
Yeah, you're probably right. I think about like my own kids definitely have built like a lot of forts and like and
Yep.
have and have been
She still has done the fort thing. There
yeah
have been many times that I've had to build forts, and then she packs it with all of the junk food stuff that she gets from the cabinet and says, "Oh, I need to have all this stuff." So like they are absolutely doing a lot of the same sort of things. I just think it's a little bit more augmented
yeah
than when we were, and it's also a bit more digital, right?
yeah
Like for you and I, like we didn't have a screen,
no
at the ready. Like we had to occupy our time with our imaginations a little bit more because you had TV, yeah, but you weren't watching TV 24/7, 365.
no
You were going out and playing with your friends and doing stuff. So I think that's the other thing too, is that because we had to fill the time,
yeah.
we used our imagination a little bit more.
Yeah, I think you're right. I hope you're right. There is
I hope
something
I'm right
about
too.
like,
I like to.
and it's to be clear, I was definitely not building like inventions in my house. I have never been like that
No.
level of mechanically minded.
Although-
I wish.
Although I did at one time take apart. This is funny. No one's heard this, by the way. It's in the longest time, so you're getting an exclusive here. When I was like 10, I took apart an alarm clock, and I had like one of those. You remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle communicators?
Oh yeah.
Like the plastic ones?
yeah.
Okay, so I had that, and I was trying to find some way of merging the two pieces of technology. I didn't know what the hell I was doing, but it's that sort of thing. And honestly, it's probably because of this movie that I tried to do that.
You were trying to talk to aliens. I
Yeah,
feel
yeah.
you.
Well, it totally was. Yeah, so that's the thing, is like that sort of take apart something. I don't think we necessarily do that sort of thing
Yeah.
anymore. I think nowadays it's more like kids learning programming, because
Yeah.
I know my stepsons, they learn that in school. So like they're building stuff, but they're doing it digitally.
Yeah. Yeah. So my 13-year-old, he is always like talking about that. So like
Yep.
it's they're doing next year the project where they have the like babies that like cry and like
That's a fun
the,
one. I
the
did that when I
Parenthood
was-
Project.
Yeah.
And I was joking that like when I was a kid, my school just gave us a bag of flour, like there was no mechanical anything. And he was saying that he was gonna take. He really wished that he could take it apart to see how it all works. Like, but then he knew he couldn't do that because he would get in trouble because they're really expensive and they can't have. So like he has that like in his brain because I'm married to an engineer, and so he's
Right.
surrounded by that, but he doesn't ever actually do that. So it's like he's
So he's not replacing the voice box out of the baby.
Yeah, I
and
don't
having it say obscenities or anything like
I think
that,
in his
which would
head,
be hilarious. By the
he
way,
thinks he could do that, but I don't know if he actually knows how to do that. But I mean, who knows? Maybe with YouTube, I hope he doesn't, because we'd get an email home, but or a call home, but he thinks he can. So I don't know. Maybe there is some of that magic still trapped inside.
I hope so.
Inside some
I
of it.
look forward to hearing about it. Like being like, oh, Brian, last year I said that he was getting the baby.
Yeah.
I said he couldn't do it. He heard the episode, and that was a challenge, and then he learned how to do it.
Yeah, they are always listening, so anything's
They are.
possible, I suppose. Anything's possible. All right, let me see. I think all right. So what are the most 80s things about this movie? Is there any like super?
I mean, we
memorable
already
80s
talked about the
moments?
creepy stalking. That's pretty 80s.
Creepy stalking is pretty 80s. The just again like invention and building stuff. Trying to think if there's anything. I mean the aliens are
drive-in.
probably.
I mean, the drive-in being prevalent. Like, don't get me wrong. Like
miss
I
a
live
drive-in.
I live in Pittsburgh, and we actually are one of the last like bastions of the drive-in. We have them around here.
Jealous.
Yeah. So
We had
I
one
know
until
that-
recently, but they
that
just
was
got
an
rid of
80s
it.
thing.
Yeah. The drive-in was pretty epic. I probably wasn't. I feel like I was like 15 or so before, because they did not have drive-ins, or at least none that I knew of near me growing up in Canada. But there was one like out in the kind of Lake District outside of Toronto, and so when we went there to do vacations and things like that, we could get to one. But yeah, I think I was a lot older, and there was one in like kind of the Lake District near us here up until like 2 years ago, and then they closed it, which was heartbreaking.
Yeah, the drive-in's one that's an 80s thing. I think also, I mean, the clothing style to some extent, but it's one of those weird things where like the clothing style has been recycled.
Yeah.
And I think we're on the.
I think we're back in the 80s or 90s.
We're back
now.
in
Yeah.
it. Like it didn't seem as foreign and as dated. Watching it again, like I'm like, oh,
Well,
okay.
It's also not like it's not like Lost Boys or like it's
No.
not like so like iconically kind of 80s in like the look and style, partially because like characters like Wolfgang are like wearing like nerdy clothes, so he's got like sweater
Yes.
vests with like jackets over them, and like
Yes.
he's very stylish in his so he's
That and his
standard
pants
issue
get
nerd.
ripped.
Yeah.
His pants get ripped in the first 5 minutes of going to school.
Me too.
Which I'm like, okay. I mean, I guess one thing you could say that's pretty 80s is the prevalency of bullies beating up people
yeah.
and no consequences. Like Ben gets in a fight in the beginning of this movie, and I just going like, where are the adults at? Like, there's no adults. It's a school without adults.
There is the teacher who's constantly calling on Ben, and the girl behind him like snarkingly answers every question correctly.
Yeah. But apparently that teacher can't be bothered to break up a massive fight that's happening right in front of the school. Like, and he's bloodied and everything. I'm just like, no. Like I drop my daughter off at school every day, and I'm like, there's at least 5, if not more, teachers who are out front. And I'm just like, there's no way in hell that you could have a fight break out now. Yeah. And there not be someone like, I don't know about
There's
you,
a lot more oversight these days.
But like, even when I was in high school, like if their fight ever broke out in the cafeteria, the cafeteria turned into the Coliseum.
Oh yeah.
Like it was like everyone stood up. It's like fight
their trays.
Yes, yeah. But then immediately there would be like people to pull the people off of each other. And nowadays, and in the back in the 80s, apparently that wasn't a thing.
Yeah. Yeah, no, definitely not a thing. The other thing I noticed, which I thought was like earlier than 80s, to be honest, but there was at least like 3 or 4 moments in this movie where they just like finish something and then just throw the garbage like behind them as if it's just going to disappear. Like there's the beer bottle he tosses that breaks. There's the cop.
Oh, that's true. Underage drinking.
Yeah, underage drinking. We haven't talked about the cop yet, but the cop like at one point like takes chewing gum and then realizes he's got like the wrapper in his mouth. He just like throws it out the window. There's like all these scenes where they're just like, earth be damned. Like,
yeah. Well, the cop cracked me up because one, like for the longest time I was like, oh, his whole plot is that he swallowed his gum. Like that's the whole thing. I was like, why is he on the case? Because the man swallowed his gum. That's going to be stuck in his digestive tract for like 7 years.
Yeah.
So he wants to solve this case.
Yeah.
About the spaceman because of the gum. But then I realized, like I was watching it again for this episode, I'm like, he must have been communicated to by these aliens.
Yeah.
As a kid as well, because he even said he's like, I had these dreams as well as a kid. It reminds me of like when I was a kid. So I'm like, wait a minute. These aliens must have been communicating with multiple children over the years.
Yeah.
And it's just until, Ben, got together with Wolfgang and Darren and decided to actually implement this technology. And also because probably technology didn't exist back then to do this, that now they can't. So like, that was the thing I didn't realize. I'm like, no, he's the grown up version of Ben.
Yeah, I thought initially he was going to be more like. So we just rewatched and reviewed Mannequin a couple weeks back, and I thought he was going to be a
Mannequin too.
I know. Well, maybe upcoming. Maybe we can do that one next. But I thought he was going to be closer to like the security guard in Mannequin, where it's like this like slightly comedic force that's like trying to get in their way of doing things, and he like started that way, and then he just sort of like disappeared. He was just like he sort of just disappeared halfway through, and we're like, oh, all right.
Well. I mean, there is also, if you want to get them behind the scenes stuff on this.
Sure, let's do it.
So this movie was one in which Joe Dante doesn't like to talk about, mainly because of the fact that studio went in and kind of rewrote and recut things out of it. That's why a lot of people, when they watch this movie, they're like, why does the back third of it kind of like
very
tonally
different.
shift?
Yeah.
And I really believe it is because of the fact that the studio came in and really kind of butchered it, which that's what studios do.
Which should have happened with Nothing But Trouble, and yet they just let that one go.
Listen, listen here. Nothing But Trouble is awesome. I don't care. I will die. I will die on that hill there. Nothing But Trouble is a goddamn classic. I love it. Okay, that's another one that I watched over and over again. But but honestly, like Joe Dante doesn't talk about this movie because of the fact that studio went in and mucked around with it.
Yeah.
And he's even said, like, yeah, this movie that you see is not his version.
Is not what he intended.
And like, I think he went back in to try to find like the stuff that was cut out, and it doesn't exist.
Oh, that would suck.
Yeah. It's really a shame because I would be interested in seeing a director's cut of Explorers, just because there is a tonal shift where you kind of lose the whole story with the cop right as they go to space, and you're like, well, we don't ever hear from him again.
Yeah, because he kind of starts off as being like, when he figures out that it was them, he's like, I got your jacket, and like, you darn kids, like, and then it just kind of disappears as they.
By the way, did you notice that the cop's co-pilot was Hollywood from Mannequin?
Yes. Okay, so I have reached the age where like I used to be able to just look at everything and have like this incredible memory, and now I literally stared for like a few moments before opening my phone. I was like,
"Is that Hollywood?
Oh, who is that guy?" And then I as I was pulling my phone up, I was like, "Oh, that's it." So I was impressed that I like realized before I did I was about to IMDb search. The one I did look up though was the cop, and he was in like. Literally everything.
He's in
but he's in Gremlins of so I was like, oh man, he's so familiar looking, like he's just like the guy in everything. I think that but Gremlins was the one that I was it was the one that clicked to me. I was like, oh yeah, okay, he's from Gremlins.
And so if we're gonna combine universes here, I think it's worth talking about.
Why not?
Hollywood was was a helicopter pilot, and then because of what happened with this whole stuff with the spaceship, got fired from that job, decided
to dress mannequins.
To go dress mannequins. Yeah. And then he did that for a while, and then the whole stuff with Kirsty Swanson and
see, I would
all of that.
I would pay to see that. He can do no wrong. I wanted more of him in this movie. Like he was like they had these like two characters that were like, we're gonna hunt down and they were just gone. Like the cop is there a little bit longer than Hollywood's character.
Studios. Fuckery. There you go. That's what it was.
Studio fuckery. All right. Well, Paul is saying that there are 10 drive-in near him, so I obviously a San Francisco area on the road show is required for a drive-in experience.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah, we have about 2.
Oh, there we go. Pittsburgh is one of my favorite cities, so I'm in for a Pittsburgh visit. The film was in a prolonged editing phase when the studio moved up the release date. The theatrical release was the result of accelerated editing and not finished to the director's satisfaction.
Yep.
Oh man, the studio said that Joe told Joe that he was finished and that they were going to go ahead and release what he had at that point. Oh, I could just like as a creator of any kind, like that's got to be gut wrenching. Where you're like, oh man, really? Like we kept to.
And he can't even go back in and like find the extra footage that was pulled from it because it's all gone.
Yeah.
So he can't even make a director's cut, which people like myself and like you, we would totally buy it.
Oh yeah,
I'd spend money on it.
I bought
Nightbreed when that one came out. Well, I was gonna say like when Nightbreed, which I don't know if you've seen that film.
I don't think so.
Nightbreed's a classic, but it's a Clive Barker film. When they did the Cabal cut and then eventually put together all the director stuff, which is this movie was considered lost. Like all the bits that, just like with Explorers, that all those bits, those extra stuff was considered lost, and then eventually it was put together. People went and bought it. People went and bought the Blu-ray, no problem, because there's a fan base for it.
Yeah. Especially for movies like this where they like, even if they didn't do amazing in the theater, like so many of them have hit like a cult status just from playing, from rentals and from the, VHS DVD market, and then just from playing on TV endlessly.
Yep.
Oh, that's a bummer. That's a bummer.
Lame.
All right. So I asked ChatGPT to help me with a couple of questions so we didn't miss anything fun. And this one I really enjoyed. So the AI robots have told us there's a lot packed in this movie, from school bullies to flying through space to alien MTV impressions. Did this movie try to do too much?
No.
I would say no as well. I love it.
No.
I love it.
No, it didn't. You know,
Yeah.
it's I've seen movies nowadays that are so jam-packed full with plot that it's hard to follow.
Yeah.
And honestly, like Explorers is one of those ones that when you really distill it down, it's fairly simple.
Yeah.
3 kids,
Build a spaceship.
build a spaceship.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's it. Like there's not a crazy ton extra to it.
Yeah.
You know, could they have gone deeper with things? Sure. I would have liked to explore Darren's like family life a little bit more. All I get is that like the dad's a jerk and we don't ever hear anything more from it, you know? But I also get that like these types of movies were playing off of a trope that was pretty popular at the time.
Yeah.
You know, they were playing off of the ET trope and they didn't want to go too deep.
Yeah.
You know, but it's a thing where now, you know, why getting to the top of the episode, why I mentioned like Stranger Things really owes this movie a lot because it really kind of sets that dynamic of kids unsupervised doing things. Like just using their imagination, doing weird stuff. Like if you took the alien thing out, it still would work.
Yeah.
You know, but the alien thing just makes it, you know, science fiction, which I love.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, it would have been equally a good movie if it was just like kids in their backyard building a spaceship.
It's basically Stand By Me, but without, you know, the dead body and the, you know,
Yeah.
it's a science fiction thing, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. It's so funny. So ChatGPT followed up with the question on if you could rewrite the third act, what would you do differently? And I was like, no, I wouldn't. I wouldn't do. Would you do anything different? I don't know if I would.
Would I
actually
do anything
really
different?
liked
I
it.
mean, I would. I would probably loop back in the cop to some degree.
That's a good point.
Like I would probably expand on the whole idea of the aliens having communicated with kids across, you know, the decades.
Yeah.
To kind of loop back in what was inferred by the cop, because it's clearly like it's thrown out there as a throwaway line.
Yeah.
You know?
Well,
and we
have
never
Lori
really
at the
get back
end.
to it.
You said her name was Lori, right? The
Yeah,
girlfriend.
and that's another thing I
Yeah.
would have done too. I would have not just made Lori the lamp that's in the plot, because unfortunately she gets totally put off to the side as, you know, they call it in screenwriting the sexy lamp. You know, they made her the idol of affection, and that's what they go towards. I would have maybe like, I don't know, included her in this stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, it would have
Crazy concept there.
That's a good point. It would have been like interesting or funny, or I mean, just a good plot point. If in that moment of their creepy teenage boyness, she like found out what they were doing and demanded to come along. Like that still would have been like an 80s trope of like, you know, of the girl being like the tag
also,
along, but
you know what it also would have done? Here's the other thing too would have done. It would have given a reason for Ben to communicate with Lori.
Yeah.
Other than just creeping in her window.
Or having them share a dream equally.
Or having them share a dream. I love how this movie predicted Inception way before Inception.
I know. The one thing that I did not enjoy about this movie is the absolute very, very end. So like there's like they share a dream. She's like, you know, then is into him, and you know
totally, because they're dream flying.
Yeah, and then they have this like Peter Pan holding hands in like nightgowns dream moment at the very end, and I was like, oh, what is happening here? Like that was the only part where I was like, I'm good.
That's how courting was back in 1985. You and I were too young.
We were too young.
We were just born.
Yeah.
We were just born. We didn't know. But that's how you know, it's how our parents met. They had some dream.
Yeah.
They had dream flying and the shared dream.
A shared dream. Oh my gosh.
Oh,
well,
God.
we're almost at the end where if you're hanging out with us live, definitely drop your ratings. And if you've seen this one, or our new rating system is if you haven't seen it, but we've convinced you that you should watch it, you could rate that 1 through 5. So 1 through 5. So 1, like, you know, the absolute worst thing you've ever seen, and 5 being like the best possible. And there's no rules for rating because it's really completely subjective, and our system could not be possibly more broken than it is. But
I would say, how
there's
many
no wrong.
aliens are this? Is
Is
there an alien emoji? Throw that in there.
I think there is I think there's like a UFO spacecraft emoji too.
There you go.
We
many
rate
UFOs
entirely
do
in
this?
potatoes, us, but you can rate whatever you want. I did, while people are rating, I got, for those of you who are watching, I got a new little potato.
Oh, that's so cool.
He's a nightlight.
Is that from the Tater's place?
And no, I got him in Idaho, which I was in Idaho, so there were potatoes everywhere. But he sits on a couch and he's a nightlight. Oh, hang on, I'm not.
He's a couch potato.
He's a couch potato, but he's got his little boba
That's
tea.
so cool.
Or coffee. Maybe it's boba coffee. Yeah, my best Idaho purchase right there. I found this pop culture store and everything in it. So I bought Nat a Empire Records Rex Manning Day banner. I got an IT Crowd tote bag. I got the potato. I was all in. Josh says that he has it digitally, but he didn't have time to watch it this week, so he's in. We'll have to get Josh's
You gotta
review
watch
later.
it, Josh. Gotta watch it, man.
And
so good.
Paul's going with 4 aliens. Four aliens.
4 aliens.
4 aliens.
Solid.
This one,
4
as
solid.
usual, like every time I watch one of these movies, there's like 6 or 7 others that like I immediately need to watch. Now I need to watch Flight of the Navigator, which I thought this movie was.
I've never seen Flight of the Navigator. I have to see that.
Well, there you go. It is in the same vein, but is definitely different enough that but it's interesting. So I own that one too.
I've seen I've seen Last Starfighter. That one is one that
that's another good
rare
one.
That's a rare good one there. And same again, there's these weird there's like 3 or 4 years where they're just like, yeah, let's just throw kids or young adults with space shit and just let's just do that. Like
I definitely
Star Wars, right? Yeah,
exactly. I definitely as I was getting like further into it and realizing that I had not seen it, I was like, what did I think this was? And so I was looking like kids plus spaceships plus and it came up with like a list of, I think like 20 different movies that I was like, oh, right.
80s were a weird time. Man.
Yeah. Great times. Oh, okay.
It was great, but weird.
Before we give our final review, do you think that this one holds up? So I didn't watch this with my kids. I should have, but I ran out of time. Do you think that like kids today would actually enjoy it? Do you think I don't think it had anything that didn't fully hold up, like other than a couple.
I mean, I think it holds up from is this a good movie type mindset. And granted, I will be 100% honest with you. That is colored through nostalgia goggles.
That's why rating these are so hard.
And that's okay. But I think would my kids watch it? Probably not. And that's because they just don't have an interest in it.
Yeah.
Like they would not be interested in this. But I think it still holds up. I think it's still good. I mean, it's nothing that's too crazy dated. In my mind,
I think my kids might enjoy it. We've been watching Doctor Who with them, and they seem to be pretty into Doctor. So I feel like
classic.
I feel like it translates like campy alienish storylines.
My daughter watches Doctor Who with us too, but she still is like
Although
I don't think it's her thing. That's what I think it is.
I will say that the things that like shock my children are like you don't real like they would be shocked by like the beer drinking and then the throwing of the bottle. They'd be like, oh my gosh, like who's gonna clean up the glass? Like that would be my children's reactions.
You don't understand. Just tell your kids like, listen, back then there were garbage men and women all over the place. They worked all hours of the night. Yeah. So you throw a beer bottle, guess what? It's gone.
Yep.
The next day. There were garbage fairies everywhere.
My daughter is also a rule follower, so she'd be like, they were out at night. Why were they drinking at night?
Why were they drinking?
He took his dad's beer. Yeah, she would have a lot of follow-up questions. But yeah, I don't know. I think it holds up. I think it holds up.
Yeah.
All right, you ready for the grand reveal? We chat.
Yes.
We synced up beforehand, which I normally never even do. So look at us, organized. We went with 3. One less than Paul gave. 3. Partially, I will say, like, I actually probably could be swayed to 4 because I did really enjoy this one. But I also feel like I've been rating everything 4 or 5 lately. So this one.
I think that third act is the thing that
dropped it down
for me at least drops it down because that is where it does get a little bit like, what the hell is going on? Like it's not bad, but like there's even moments where like Darren is getting like zapped in the head.
Yeah, they don't really explain that.
And I'm just like, you didn't explain any of that, but we're gonna do it. So it's like, okay, fine. But that's the third act, but up till then, it's really a solid film, in my opinion.
Yeah, this was a great choice. Thank you for for having me watch this one.
Well, I mean, it was on my list already. Like it was
Perfect.
on because we schedule out our entire year for my podcast, so like it was on there already, and I'm like, well, might as well like do it for your show because it kind of
Check.
there's crossover there.
Yeah. Well, it made it for the perfect crossover episode. And this is the perfect time for anyone that hasn't seen your show yet. Give us a little bit of a breakdown on what it is and how people can listen or find it.
All right, so the Cinema Psycho Show is my podcast I've been doing since 2016. We have 359 episodes going strong. We put out once a week. We cover all types of movies, both new movies, older films. We tend to skew a lot towards horror. I don't know why that would be the case. Like,
I don't
know why. But it's mostly because like my co-host John and I, we just seem to like horror movies a lot.
Yeah.
So we tend to also bring on a lot of guest reviewers too. It's a newer thing we've been doing, and it's really been fun. So like the last episode we did Final Destination Bloodlines.
I'm so excited I've been traveling and I saved that one. I'm like, I can't wait for this.
Well, that one we brought on 2 independent filmmakers who were actually they just finished the 40-hour film project in Pittsburgh.
Oh, cool.
And they were set to interview me, to get interviewed by me at the rap party, and one of them like they had to go to the hospital, so we brought him on. Thank you, Mr. Moderator. But so we brought them on, and they pitched us doing the new Final Destination, which we hadn't planned to do, but it ended up being like a really fun episode. And that's more or less what we've been doing. But we got a whole summer and whole year planned of episodes, and I just revamped our website because I know that that's important for a podcast to have a good website.
Cinema Psychos Show, 2 S's, psychosshow.com.
Psychosshow.com. And we're everywhere, and we do video as well on YouTube, and we're on all the audio places.
Well, I'm really excited because Final Destination, we haven't done those yet for this show, but I have like the box set. Like there's something about those movies that I just thoroughly enjoy.
This
so I have
one,
not seen the new one yet.
I will give you, first of all, watch the new one first. Don't listen to the episode and then, because we totally spoiled the shit.
Oh, that's fine. I don't mind spoilers.
But we, like in my head, I'll give you the little preview here. It was kind of like a Looney Tunes cartoon, which isn't bad.
Yeah.
But it's just really hard to care about the characters dying when you don't have like
any
moments
kind of
where you like just like moments where you need to care about the characters and like plot and character development and that sort of thing. I think that's an old person thing. Like the 2 people we had on were like, no, we thought it was great. I'm like, you're also 20. Yeah. Like that's part of the bit.
You're like, we want to
I'm old. Like I need character development for me to care about when something horrible happens to them.
Yeah, I am. I think because I found out about that one about the same time as the fact that they're doing the new I Know What You Did Last Summer, and I was just like, like teenage me just is real happy about that. I'm normally not happy with remakes or sequels. I usually just don't love that. But I am. I don't know. I'm kind of excited for both of those. So even
I don't know.
terrible.
I got feelings about I Know What You Did Last Summer. I have some deep thoughts about its place in horror history, and that and Scream both are they're on my shit list of movies that might have ruined horror.
Oh, I love Scream. We'll have to fight about it.
I know. We'll fight about it. It's cool.
Well, thank you so much for taking the time, and thanks everyone for hanging out with us.
Pleasure.
Next up for the VHS Club, we're off again next week. I'm so sorry, friends. I've been just nonstop traveling for work, but I promise I'm learning lots. So another 1 week down, and then we'll be back again for RoboCop. Nat's coming back. We're bringing Nat's brother on, so it's going to be it should be a fun Nat's back reunion celebratory, and that'll be the 3rd of July. So like, get ready. We're going big for 4th of July week. It should be a lot of fun. And then a lot of fun stuff coming. Thank you to everyone for your recommendations and for jumping on and being guests. I really appreciate it. As always, you can find everything over at the VHSclubpod.com. You can leave us voicemails. You can see our movie list that just keeps growing. Like we keep checking things off, but it just keeps getting. There's so many movies between 1970 something and 2005, somewhere in there.
Do you have a letterbox yet?
I don't have a letterbox yet. I just signed up for an account a couple weeks ago, but I haven't
Yeah.
I haven't dived in. I'll have to
See,
do
that's
that.
the thing. You got to do the letterbox. I have aspirations of doing a letterbox. But as I mentioned earlier in the episode, I have 4 kids.
Yeah,
so there's no time.
I'm guilty of like hearing about it and immediately signing up for these things, and then like they said start in my inbox of like follow up about that, Katie, and then I don't.
No,
I don't do that.
not happening.
Well, thank you, Paul, for dropping our link in. And let us know what you want to hear or see next, or if you want to be on the show. I've been watching all of those notes come through, so I really appreciate all of it. And Nat will be back in 2 weeks. Which is going to be really exciting because she's been out for a while. So excited to have her back. Not that Brian isn't an awesome co-host, but
I'm cool. That's cool. I'm not Nat. I mean, I understand that. It's cool. And you're not John.
I'm not John.
I get it.
I'm not nearly as funny as John. I could try. I don't think I could pull it off.
No one's as funny as John.
That
man's got a level of humor that, honestly, if you distilled it down, he could make a killing by distilling his humor down.
Oh, well, thanks for hanging out, and we will see you in 2 weeks' time. And if you haven't watched The Explorers yet, give it a watch. We'll see you next time.
On it.
Bye,
See ya.
everyone.
Katie and Matt, rocking the scene.